Hello and welcome to all our viewers. My name is Lara, hosting the Persona Show. Today we're at the Bin Hindi Avenue and with me is a very special guest, Mr. Ali Mostafa, upcoming UAE National Film Director. Hello and a very good morning to you, Ali.
Good morning, Lara.
It's a pleasure to have you with us on today's Persona Show.
Thank you.
Ali, tell us a little bit more about yourself, starting off with how you developed your passion for filmmaking, for making movies.
As far as I can remember, I've always been a great fan of films and movies, and especially as a child. Since the moment I could pick up a camera, I've been making my own, little short films with my little brothers and so forth, And I mean, even with my toys, I would pick up toys and I'd get the handycam from the house and I'd do stop motion animation where I'd, take the toys and do little, stories and scenes and scenarios and so forth with them. So as far as I can remember, filmmaking has been my passion. Is anyone in the family in the film industry, your mom, your dad? Like I said, my dad, he really enjoys a good film, but I'd say maybe the creativity side of it comes from both my parents. I mean, my father is an architect and a designer, My mother, she's the same, really. She designs, she creates. She has a shop called Blooms, where, as you can see, the trees around you has been done by her.
I must say that's
and so the creative side is definitely from my parents.
You're a UAE national, yes?
Yes.
You went to school here in Dubai?
Yes, I did.
Whereabouts? Which school did you go to?
I went to Al-Ittihad private school, it's in Mamza, and then I ended up moving to an international school called Emirates International. And then I moved on to Al-Ittihad private school in Jumeirah, and that's where I graduated from. But 2 months before I graduated, my mother's shop, I was telling you about, Blooms. What I did is I really wanted to start working and doing something for myself because my friends were a lot older than I was. I ended up opening a division from that existing company, strictly based on interior design. I was blessed growing up having the gift to draw and sketch and so forth. So I said, let me just, take that and, design and create and, from A to B, design something and then build it and set it up, and those things became wedding stages. I was doing wedding stages for about 2 years, the really extravagant big wedding stages.
And that was before you graduated from high school?
2 months before I graduated from high school, and then I did it for 2 years on from that. So I never ended up going into college straight after high school. Now, I got really successful doing that, alhamdulillah. Maybe to the fact where at the time the wedding stages, it was maybe top 5 wedding stage manufacturers in the Middle East, I would say. I even had an article once where, when I was the age of 19, and I told the interview to mention that I'm 20-something because I didn't want my clients to know that they were dealing with someone who was so young.
But very talented.
Alhamdulillah.
The talent is what counts, it's not the age.
And so basically what happened was I took that forward and I did interior design where I've done a few car showrooms as well, interior design for that. But that wasn't really my passion. It was something that I was doing, I was making my own money, I was enjoying that. But what I really wanted to do was filmmaking. That was something I wanted to do since I was a child. I did research on the internet and people I've asked around, and which is the best film school that I can try and get into. It finally boiled down to the London Film School, where I thought it would be almost impossible to get into because at the time, it was a master's degree. And I didn't even have a bachelor's. But they said that they had a criteria to get in. So what I did is I gathered my portfolio, which became about that thick, for 2 years of work with all the stuff that I'd done, and I called it production design, which it pretty much was. And that was a side to the industry as well. And I applied that with all the things that I'd done, and I handed it in with what they expected in the criteria was maybe a critique for a film, a storyboard and so forth, and something that I may have done in the past. I handed that in and they accepted me with that, and I jumped straight into my master's.
That's so impressive.
So I got into the school and it was 2 years of heaven, really. I was in a place that I wanted to be, I was studying something that I wanted to do, and I can't thank my parents enough for supporting me. Nothing is worse than being in a job from 9 to 5 that you really don't enjoy. So that's how I ended up getting into the London Film School.
Tell us about the projects that you worked at the London Film School. Were there any interesting projects, any movies, any?
I keep mentioning it in articles and interviews that and I still will. It's a filmmaking boot camp. It wasn't. Filmmaking is not as easy as you may think it is, especially if you're a student and you're studying it through that way that the London Film School provides, LFS. But filmmaking is practical. It's more practical than anything else. And what was great about the school I'd gone to is it had 6 terms, you know, where each term you had to make a film, each term you had to make a project and work together in groups, you know. So the first term would be black and white, 16mm, you know, silent movie, you know, which starts you off. And there was no editing on computers and Avids and FCPs and Final Cuts or whatever. It was on the Steenbeck. It was something that you would be using 50 years ago. I mean, it was, you know, you'd get the tape, you held the film in your hand, and this is what makes you realize and understand how precious the film really is and how each frame counts.
Absolutely.
You know, so you'd be cutting that, and so then you'd go on to doing documentaries on 35mm or 16mm. Then you move on to do color, non-sync sound, sync sound. Every term there was a project, and it was in a school where, I mean, only this year it's become 50 years old now, the school. And a lot of well-known people in the industry now graduated from there. Our chairman is Mike Lee, who recently won a BAFTA. You know,
Could you tell our viewers what's a BAFTA?
A BAFTA is basically it's the British Oscar, if you want to say put it that way. He won it for Vera Drake, and also a graduate in 1967, I think, is Michael Mann, which is a very big director in the industry. He had done Heat, Collateral, the new Miami Vice movie that's coming out now.
Tell us about the short film that you have done.
The short film, I'm talking away here.
At the Dubai International Film Festival for 2005?
Alhamdulillah, yes it was. I mean, it had a lot of reviews on the film. Well, merely because, I mean, it was a local film, one of first of its kind really to be shot on film by a local, so forth. But there's a lot of local films out there. Now, Under the Sun was a graduation film from the London Film School.
So you had already worked on it at the London Film School?
No, what happens is in the 6th term, now when you get to the 6th term, you know, they give you half of your school budget back. So you have a certain amount of money, just a very low budget to work on anything you want. You can add your own, you can put more into the budget if you like, it depends on what type of film you want to make. And you could shoot it, you know, you can choose any part of the world that you want to do it. And I said, what best to do it than to do it in Dubai, you know, my hometown. So obviously that was the first part, is to choose where I wanted to do it. But then it all came together. When obviously growing up here, I know what Dubai was like, and looking at it now, especially, you know, going to London and coming back and seeing the changes, it's insane. It's overwhelming in how much it's changed.
We're going to take a small break now. Don't go away, because when we come back, we've got a lot more for you on Ali Mostafa.